So why did I quit my job to build my business full time and get it to a point where I never had to go back to work a job like ever again? Even though in my business it was up, down, I never had to go work a job again. So I wanted to make this video to talk about that point of why I quit my job and never went back, right? So first I'll give some context, because I don't know if you're seeing me for the first time or you've seen me before. So my name is Mahyar. I originally came from Iran, which is a third world country. Right now I think they have one of the lowest currencies. I don't know if it's the lowest or one of the lowest. I don't know all the currencies where they're at, but last time I knew, I had heard it was the lowest. So I don't know, maybe now there's some currency lower than that. But growing up, I never learned anything about money, relationships, none of that. My dad, he worked for a oil company, and he was just like a regular employee. And if I translated what he was making back then to US dollars now, it was like $14-17 a month. And if he were still in that position, his income wouldn't have increased that much, like maybe $30 a month or maximum $100 a month, which is not that much, right? And I remember like one time my dad wanted to get me a computer, and it took like 2 years of him saving up to get me a computer, which I broke in like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, because I messed around on it, got a virus, and it shut down, But so I grew up, in a family of people who work jobs. My family still to this day, they work jobs, whether they're in Iran, America, right? And I don't know many of them who have their own business where they're only doing the business. Maybe one of my cousins I could think of top of my head, right? So for me, I never was huge on education system, meaning I never liked going to school. I always had trouble reading and comprehending and everything. Like when I hear people who have dyslexia, who were diagnosed with dyslexia, all that, when they share their symptoms, I'm like, I had all these symptoms. I could barely read. I couldn't even find the next line. Like as I'm reading, I had trouble finding where the next line was. Sometimes I had to read the same line 7-8 times and still don't understand, right? So, at some point, obviously, I ended up getting a job because I couldn't have my own business. But back in 2019, so 2018, my cousin introduced me to a set of audios called Your Wish Is Your Command. And then from there, I found out that the guy who made the audios had a success club called Gin. And so I joined Gin because I found out they had an event coming up in February of 2019 in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Now, at that time, I hadn't traveled outside of US, and I had never traveled by myself anywhere. But I found out they had a event, and that if I became a member, I would get half off and a free ticket to the event. So I joined. Long story short, went to the event. Very nice resort, bunch of people there, multi-millionaires or some billionaires there. But in there, I met few key individuals that changed the direction of my life. Out of few, one happened to live 5 minutes from me here in Houston. So I met him in Punta Cana, and he happened to live here 5 minutes from me in Houston, right? And he had an education business, and the education business was he had a technology software where I'm putting the phone down because I'm passing back up, but the education software was pretty much a technology that allowed you to learn anything at a rapid pace. And back then he had a 2.5-year-old that was using the software like 5 minutes a day or something, and the 2.5-year-old already could read at a first grade level. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, I'm 19 and I can barely read, right? And this stuff I can read, I'm just sounding it out loud. I don't really understand or comprehend it. But the 2.5-year-old could comprehend better than I did, And so then he talked to me about it. Eventually I ended up getting that technology and started using it. And all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, somehow I was able to read. And I think my reading speed doubled or tripled within just the first 2-3 weeks of me using it. Meaning something that took me an hour, all of a sudden I was reading it in 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And I was confused. I was like, how is this working? And it was interesting because it was working at an unconscious level, so I wasn't even conscious of how this tool was even working, right? So then he started mentoring me. Then I met some other people in the group, and they started mentoring me and whatnot. And after like a year and a half later or so, I remember I was working at this job, and this guy, he's a good friend of mine still to this day, and he was selling seat covers online, like seat cover replacement. Like, let's say you have a truck, a Chevy truck, GMC, whatever, and let's say you need to replace your seat cover, like the leather or the vinyl, and he would sell the replacement of that. And he was selling on eBay, right? And I think at that time he was doing like maybe 30K in revenue, 30,000 in revenue per month. So not bad. But then when I started working with him, specifically I started using this technology to learn how to build his business. I built him a website, and I got it to a point where people would call in, right? And I didn't know how to close people over the phone. I didn't know how to talk to people. And these were more elderly people that didn't know how to check out online. So I had to guide them through it. But I had a massive fear of talking to strangers, massive fear of selling. I didn't understand sales. I thought sales was not good. I thought people who did sales were hated. So I was like, I don't want people to hate me. All these thoughts. And I went to my mentor. I was like, hey, can I use this technology to learn how to sell that thing better? And he showed me what to do, what to use, how to, I use it to remove my fears and everything. And I went back the next day, and from his website that he wasn't making any money, I was able to close $2,000 over the phone first day from his website, right? Second day, I closed about $3,000 to $4,000 in revenue extra on top of what he was doing with his eBay. And long story short, that first month I did 40 something thousand. Second month I did 50 something, maybe 60 grand. And within 2.5 months, I made close to like 90 grand to 100 grand. And I remember I was shocked. I was like, this is crazy. I was never able to do anything like this before. And I was like, now that I made this much money in this guy's business, I wonder if I could do it in my own business. So then I created my own business, and I decided to share that tool with other people, because I was like, that's the tool that helped me do all this. Why would I sell anything else? And then again, I use it to overcome my fears of how do I generate leads? How do I share this with people? How do I show it to people? All that stuff. And 30 days later, in one day, I made over $8,000. Or I made $8,000, sorry. I think exactly $8,000 or something like that. And I had it in cash, and it was all profit, right? And I was like, what the hell just happened? And the rest of the month, I didn't do anything, because I was like, I just made 8 grand. My mom makes 2 grand a month. I just made 4 times what she makes in a month, and I did that in a day. Like, what the hell? And I was very confused, because this tool, it works at an unconscious rate. And then next month, I think I did 10,000, if I'm not mistaken. Either next month or the month after, I did 10,000 in a day. And for some reason, I would just make money in a day and not do anything for the rest of it. And I ended up buying like a Mercedes, and this was during COVID, where businesses were shutting down, people were struggling financially, and I had bought like a Mercedes. I bought all these suits, all this stuff I always wanted financially, materialistically. I ended up buying all of them. And after that, like, obviously I quit my job. So I quit my job, and then 30 days later, I made the 8,000 and all that I was saying. And again, there was times where I didn't make much those months, like 1,000 or 2,000 in my business. But then I would always somehow figure out how to keep my expenses going and to continue and never go bankrupt or any of that. And that was what was interesting. But then I realized an important lesson. So there's a word, right? Survival, or fear of survival, or financial survival, right? Meaning when many people, they have a job, because if they don't, they go into survival mode. Meaning it's like the only thing they can think of is how can I bring money now so I don't have to struggle, right? And I realized that people, even though they had high paying jobs, even the people in six figures and all that, they were still in survival mode. If anything, the people with six figures had bigger survival mode because they had a higher chance of being replaced. Because the companies don't want to pay you a lot of money. They'll keep paying you, and then when your value goes up, they'll just fire you and bring someone else that starts with half the income, and then when they hit that, then they fire you, and then same thing. So then I was like, if that's what's going to be the end result, survival mode, and everyone's going to always be in that, then I'd rather be in survival mode in my business than in my job. Now, don't get me wrong, I tell people, hey, get a job and build a business while you have a job until the business can replace it. But for me, I had the right mentors that I could trust, and I had the right technology and the tools where I could program myself to do what I wanted to do. So it wasn't just like randomly I quit a job and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm going to build a business. No, it was like a lot of support in the back end that I was receiving. And from that, I was able to have my business. And even times where, there's months where I made more than my expenses, but there was times where I did, let's say, paycheck to paycheck, but at least I was doing it in my own business than a job. And when you have your own business, you could always do more because it relies on you. And I had to just look at, okay, where am I holding myself back that I'm not able to produce more? And once I looked at that, then I would make more money again. But that's what it comes down to. The biggest important thing is the survival mode. Like, look at your life. If you have a job, if you don't have a job, ask yourself, are you in survival mode? Or what happens if you have a job but you lose it tomorrow? You'll go into that survival mode. And once you understand what you're doing, the starting point is the fear of survival mode, then you'll understand then every decision you make will keep you within that fear. Because we keep manifesting our fear that's deep within us without us even knowing. You ever wonder why so many bad things happen to you? Well, there are a few people in this world that they make all the money, have all the wealth and all the luxuries, but then most people just experience more of the things they don't want. Do you ever question that? It's because of these fears that we're not even aware of that's manifesting more. People focus on manifestation and they want to manifest positive things, but they don't realize what are the negative things that's already in them that's manifesting the things they don't want. Because if they could just find out what that is and let that go, then naturally they'll just get more of what they want, because they're not holding on to any more fear, and they'll just go out there and create. You see, that's the difference. Instead of making money, they'll start creating money. And only someone who's a creator is someone who doesn't have the fear, right? So for me, that's what it came down to. Is like having the right tools and the mentor to see what are my fears, how do I get rid of them, and how do I go to the next point. And I just kept doing that over and over, and I never had to get a job again. So now if you're interested in any of that, like, oh, what is the technology, what's the mentorship, what is this, what is that, always hit me up. My links are in the description, Facebook, Instagram, and I could share with you more in detail, right? So, because what's the worst case scenario? You're like, okay, I don't want mentorship, I don't want to grow. But it's like, at least you've heard of it. You spend how much time watching YouTube videos, right? We spend more time watching YouTube videos than spending time making our dreams come true. So how much do you value your goals and dreams? And I made this video longer than what I normally do because this is an important topic. This is not like some random topic that it's like, oh, let me just make a video. Like, the stuff I share, first of all, I'm sharing my own experiences, and it's a cool point to look back a year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year from now to see where I was and where I am. But also I care about the people that watch this. Like, even though I don't know you, I know you're just a reflection of me. Like, you are me in another life. And for me, even though I don't know people, I really care for them. And I don't care for them because I'm like, I want to sell you something. I sell only to people who have the one need or desire. Like, I'm not just gonna find some random people and find some random bring up some random pain or something within them and be like, oh, you see, that's why you need the product. It's like, no, I value friendship and long-term impact that we'll have together than just short-term of how can I make the most money. If I wanted to make more money short-term, I would just go talk to people here instead of making videos and just giving as much value as I can, right? So yeah, for you, look at that point of survival mode and see what's your relationship to those words. And if you are in survival mode, and if you are, then ask yourself, what if you keep doing the same things, then how are you supposed to change that? I was talking to a friend that I knew from high school. For some reason, my friends from school have been hitting me up, and we've been hanging out. And I was chatting with him, and by the end of it, he was like, wow, like, I can see things different now. And I was like, yeah, because now you have access to words and understandings that you didn't before. But he would have never said that, or he would have never realized that if we didn't chat, right? So most of my growth comes from being open-minded and reaching out to other people and seeing what they have to offer, what they have to share, what I have to say. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, but question those points for yourself. And if you watch it this far, leave in the comments. Sometimes I like telling people what to put in the comment. Let's see, put the word abundance in the comment if you watched it this far, okay? And I appreciate you watching so far. And if you watched it this far, that means you're getting some value from this, I hope. So if you did get some value, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with the people that you want to succeed with you, so you're not the only one succeeding and then people around you aren't growing. But yeah, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.